Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. Is yours truly, Amal Mari. I am the founder of El Kebalan Unity Alliance. My queen, Amani Mari, is the co-founder. Tonight we're going to have on Popp Da Rippa. He is also the CEO of Ice Squad. He's a part of the Circle of Brotherhood, and it is a male mentor group that is impacting the community in a positive manner. So we're getting ready to bring our brother on right now. Blessings, blessings, my brother.
What up? What up? What up? Amar, how's it going, brother?
Hey, all is well, man. All is well. Good to have you aboard on this evening, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on your broadcast today.
Yes, indeed, man. We're definitely honored to have you on here, man, because of the positive work that you're doing in the community. You know, you being a part of the Circle of Brotherhood. And I see what the Hungry Nine has done in the
Mm-hmm.
community there in Miami, man. I know that a lot of our young people and elders alike, unfortunately, have been taking life. And what I love about what you gentlemen are doing, you gentlemen actually have laid down your life to actually preserve life in the community. So first of all, man, I want to salute you from one king to another, man, because as you know, that's rare within our community, especially the background that you come from. Talk to us on this evening.
Exactly, man. Listen, you're absolutely right, man. The Circle of Brotherhood is one of the most amazing, most powerful, and impactful organizations coming out of South Florida because one thing I can tell you about the organization that I have found that has made me 100% committed is the fact that it is no hidden agendas. There are no hidden agendas. A lot of times people think that organizations, like the Circle of Brotherhood or, a group of black men coming together with community advocacy are looking for something. Like we're looking
Absolutely.
for a check. We're looking for a check, or we're looking for, some type of fame or something like that. But it's nothing like that, man. I can tell you 100% from me to you that the Circle of Brotherhood is genuinely a group of men that came together and got sick and tired of what's happening in the community with our young people and what's happening just with our people in general. Because so many times we look outside of ourselves for solutions. We look for the government to help us. We look for other outside entities to come in and save the day, but um the Circle of Brotherhood takes a whole different approach. The slogan is black men solving our own community problems,
I
and
like
so
that.
that's what we're doing. And as you mentioned, the Hunger Nine was 9 men that were chosen, and we believe by God to represent this particular campaign for Stop the Violence, where they went on a hunger strike. And it was 9 men who just drunk only water, and they capped out at 21 days, and they
Mm,
stayed in a camp. They stayed in a camp in the middle of the hood, outside under tents, and all they had was water. All they had was water, and it was all so that we could bring awareness to how serious the gun violence is in our community, so that we could start the conversation. And
mm,
man, did we ever do that? The Circle of Brotherhood,
mm.
which is more than 100 men strong, we all came together in support of the Hunger Nine, and we were able to touch communities all over the world. A lot of media and news outlets came to the camp to check us out. People from all different states, even folks from Chicago came through. The people at Parkland came through. It was major. I mean, all you got to do is Google Hunger Nine, Circle of Brotherhood, and you'll see it was impactful, man. Very powerful moment.
Definitely, man. And it's rare for men to take the front line like that these days. And so
Mm-hmm.
I definitely commend you, gentlemen, by spearheading the movement because, as you know, our queens are definitely the ones that's left there in the fight. And what I want to
Yes.
commend you brothers on is taking your role. I believe that credibility is not given to men like yourself and the rest of the 99 brothers that you're connected with that actually do this work. It's not advertised enough. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
this is one reason why I wanted to do this, because I wanted our queens to also be encouraged as well, because a lot of
Yes.
them are definitely crying out and asking the question about where are we? You know,
Mm-hmm.
where are we to protect them? Where are we
Yes.
to protect our children? Where are we to protect our hood? You know,
Exactly.
and so,
Exactly.
I believe that you gentlemen have resurrected that spirit of revolution, in the community, man, and brought the love, bringing the love back in, to the community, because as you know, it's been cut off, you know,
Yes. Yeah, and
and
you're absolutely right. It's something about when men get together, it's just a different impact that makes in the community because, like you said, it's mostly the women, that you see out there trying to fight for the lives of our young people, and the men are nowhere to be found. You know what I mean? Usually, like we're either incarcerated or just out there strung out or involved in the foolishness. So that's the stigma that we carry in the black community, but the circle of brotherhood is living proof that that's not always necessarily the case. It's like you said,
absolutely,
it's just not really advertised or exposed like the negativity is. If we were out there doing wrong things like crimes and causing havoc in the community, everybody will know about it instantly. You know what I mean? But
indeed,
and that's the narrative that most media will push in our community. But I'm here to testify that the circle of brotherhood is an example of the opposite of that, and we are here to actually set a standard for the entire country and not and even the world.
absolutely. I believe you gentlemen definitely have done that. And also, I want to send a shout out to brother Anthony Blackman, who has connected me with you gentlemen, who uh, was one of the Hungry Nine participants that was out there in the community that literally put his life on the line. From my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, they were actually in the midst of where a lot of the gunfire actually took place at. They were literally in the line
Absolutely.
of fire.
Absolutely, they were right in the heart of it. Right in the heart of it. It's a part of town called Liberty City, across from a very well-known projects called Liberty Square, also known as the Poke and Beans, 62nd Street and 12th Avenue. And man, it was right there. Matter of fact, I think a couple of nights they even heard gunshots while they were out there. You know what I mean? So it's like that's where we wanted to be, so that the young men in that community and even the women and everybody that lives there can see that, listen, we are not afraid to engage, we're not afraid to connect, we want to be right where you are and show the community that we care. So the Hunger Nine, that's what that represented. And just so the circle of brotherhood has already been in operation for years, doing tons of community work. This was just one particular mission, that we embarked on, and those 9 men were chosen to be a part of that. But this was just another extension of what we're all about, which is changing the dynamic in our communities and changing the narrative, and it's creating a better future for our youth.
Wow. Speaking of which, let's do a rewind, because you said something very significant earlier. You said you gentlemen were out there to fix the problems that you started. Let's rewind the life of Popp Da Rippa. Let me tell the people about you. Our brother stated, and I love his his biography. He said, "My life mission is to be an instrument of change in society by setting the right example in both music and my life." Our brother has opened up for major acts such as Trick Daddy, Rick Ross, H Town, Dougie Fresh, and more. He also is the founding father of ICE, which is an acronym, Ice Squad Entertainment. So, brother, talk to us about that, and additionally, if you would, talk to us about that acronym and how you came up with that acronym. So let's start with your life, and then let's transition into how you came up with the acronym for such a powerful movement, man, the entertainment movement.
Absolutely, absolutely. So basically, I've been working in the music industry now over 20 years. I stopped counting, but it all started back in my teens. I would say roughly I was about 15 years old, and that's when I fell in love with hip hop. The first artist that I ever saw that really made me start really paying attention to it was LL Cool J, the
Yes,
GOAT.
indeed. It's
Yeah,
hard at
and
it.
that's right, right. I'm bad. And watching him and listening to him with his rhyme patterns and his lyrical ability, and even and especially his stage performance, I was just engulfed in it. I didn't know how to rap at that time, but
Say
he
what?
made me. I didn't know how to rap. I just was a fan. You know what I mean? I just like rap music. But
Wow, brother, you are gifted. I've heard your flow, so that's the reason I can't front. That was just hard to believe. I'm just being honest.
it wasn't in the plans, man. It was a divine a divine calling, man, because what happened is I was such a fan of LL that I started memorizing his lyrics, and I basically was just rapping his songs. You know what I mean? And to the point where I knew them by heart. I knew all of them by heart. And I started to like wonder, I wonder if I could write my own rap. I wonder if I could do my own rap because I started really emulating him. And so I started to get into writing in school through what is called, I don't know if they still have that today, but it was called the oratorical program, where it was like students would write poems and do speeches of great people and stuff like that, and then they would compete with other students in other schools. So I got involved with that, and that kind of helped my writing ability. And so I figured that I could probably write my own rap. So, I started doing poetry, and then the poetry turned into rap. And then my flow basically just came from all of the great artists that I started to admire, like LL and KRS-One, Busta Rhymes,
Uh-oh.
these
New York in the
Redman.
building. New York in the
Yeah,
building, baby.
exactly. That's what I came up on, people like Redman, Wu-Tang Clan, man, Black Moon. Some people don't even know about Black Moon.
No
Man,
doubt.
it's
Oh
yeah,
man, you going way back for real now, brother.
yeah, I came up on all of that, man. And
I
so,
can relate.
I was all about lyrics because down south it wasn't so much about that. It was more about dancing and having a party and stuff, which is cool too. But the lyrical content that was coming from the East Coast really it just sparked my thought process. And that's what attracted me, because the cats in the East Coast at that time, you could tell they were thinkers. You know what I mean? And I was a thinker. So I coupled that with my rap, and I basically talked about things that I felt needed to be talked about, It could have
Indeed.
been relationships, it could have been about dealing with my parents,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with school, dealing with all kind of stuff. I was very real with my rhymes. And so fast forward, I really jumped in head first. I remember a time my parents came to me and asked me the famous question, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do when you grow up? I hadn't even hit 18 yet, but I told them straight up, without a shadow of a doubt, I want to rap. And at
Mm.
that time, rap wasn't even as big as it is now, so they definitely thought that was ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Because it was at that time considered still a fad. As a matter of fact, my dad used to call it rap crap. He's like, you want to
Mm.
do that rap crap? You know what I mean? Who would have known that now today it's a multi-billion-dollar industry? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it definitely wasn't a fad. Right now, it's one of the biggest genres. It is the biggest genre in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
it influences pretty much every aspect of society right now. So fast forward, I ended up getting my first record deal when I was around 16 and a half, 17 years old, with an indie label, which got me started performing and learning about the studio and things like that. I went on to have about 3 more deals after that with other labels, and I had like several managers. I've been around the game, the ins and outs, and I've saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. It wasn't until about 2004, I believe, I considered doing it myself and just doing my own thing. So I started a label back then called Vicious Vibes Entertainment with a partner of mine. His name is Figgy McKnight. He's actually a pretty big producer right now. If you look him up, he's worked with Diddy and like a whole bunch of great people now. He went on to do that. And it was pretty much about the street life. That's kind of what the whole label was about and what we was pushing out, because at that time I was going through that thug life phase. Tupac was my favorite artist. NWA, Ice Cube, I was heavy in that. And I can honestly say that the music that I was a fan of back then 100% definitely had an impact on my lifestyle. And so therefore, although I had both great parents that loved me, I made a choice. I made a choice to go to the negative. I got involved in the street life because those are the type of dudes I was hanging with. You know what I mean? Obviously, so a lot of people think that everybody that's in the streets got a horrible home life, and that's not true. Some people, that's not true at all. Some people, they're just influenced by their circle. You know what I mean? They roll with that type of circle, so that's what they do. At home it's one thing, but when you step out off that porch, it's gang gang. You know what I'm saying? So, I grew up in a city called Opelika, Florida, which is, anybody from South Florida knows that is, like really, really hood. You know what I mean? Opelika was never known for being like a suburb. You know what I mean? It's definitely, urban community. It's a lot of good people there, a lot of great people, but it definitely has that element of gangsterism, and a lot of crime happens there. So, I myself, I got into, everything, man. I got into, robbing, stealing, home invasions, car theft, from grand theft to retail theft, just a lot of stuff. I ain't gonna really go into too much detail, but just know that I was out there, and it was something that was happening as like a double life outside of my home. So it's still a lot of things my family not even aware of, which, I just put it in the past, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But
I definitely know what you're talking
but
about.
it definitely created who I am now, because it wasn't until I was in jail. I got picked up on a warrant.
It got real
Um,
then, didn't it, bro?
Yeah, it got real. Actually, it started to get real a little bit before that, but I didn't take it quite seriously, because one time I was at my mother's house. Keep in mind, my mother didn't really know about my outside life, and the feds came to my house, and they were asking me questions and telling my mom everything about me and things that I was accused of and things I was involved in. And so that kind of was a very embarrassing moment for me with my mother. And so that kind of shook me up a little bit, because I'm like, dang, now she kind of see me differently, you know what I mean? Or she know some of the things I've been doing. But yet that didn't stop me. It wasn't really until years later when I was incarcerated, they picked me up off of a warrant, and I couldn't get out because I didn't have any bond money. And if you know the system, they just keep circulating you. If you don't got that bond money, you ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? You got a public defender and you ain't got no bond money, so they just keep kind of throwing you back in front of the judge, and the judge just keep asking you if you got the money. And the answer is still the same. No, I don't have the money. Okay, so back you go. And so the thing, at that time, my father, he actually worked for the corrections, worked for the jail system. And he was actually in the same jail I was being held in. He was working in the same jail I was being held in. So this was really a wake-up call for me too, because I was very embarrassed for him. You know what I mean? Because now in front of his colleagues, his son is an inmate. And so my dad at that time started, he just recently started going to church. He he had gave his life to Christ and changed his whole life around after, like, almost 50 years. change his whole life around. And I started noticing the changes and the difference in him. So, he basically was coming to me and just talking to my cell and stuff and talking to me about how God is going to get me out of this, but I got to change my life, and he's praying for me and the church is praying for me, etc. That ain't really what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear where that bond money at. But that's what he was talking about. Sorry, that's my cat. And yeah, and so he basically, that's what he told me. He said God was gonna get me out. That's all he could get me. He said he ain't got no money for me, but that's all he could give me right now and tell me that God is gonna get me out. So long story short, I went before the judge again, and I didn't expect it to be any different than the last time. So here I am talking to the judge. He asked me about the bond. I said I ain't got no bond money again. And then my dad happened to be in the audience sitting down, and then he was in plain clothes. He wasn't even in his uniform or nothing. And he don't know the judge from Adam. The judge don't know him. He was just a member of the family, basically. Mm-hmm. And he stood up and he said, and now mind you, I'm a grown man now. I'm in my mid-20s probably. He stood up and said, Your Honor, I want to apologize on behalf of my son for wasting the court's time with this. But I can assure you, if you release him to my custody, I'll make sure that he will take care of whatever fees he got to pay and whatever you want him to do to make up for this, if you would just release him to my custody. And I'm like, man, what is he talking about? I'm not a minor. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to do that. And so, and I think at that time too, my bond was like 10 grand, wow. Total. Yeah, total. So, that's what the total, but I couldn't even afford a bondsman. And so, the judge actually didn't even hesitate, didn't even think about it, didn't even blink. He immediately just banged the gavel and said, okay, no problem. We just going to sign a fee, a court fee, and we're going to close the case and you could go. It was like, what? I was like, after all this time, the judge was not hearing nothing. But my dad just stood up and said that, and the judge let me out. Wow. And yeah, and that was, obviously that wasn't my first encounter where I started realizing God was real, but that was one of the most memorable, and that kind of set me on my way to kind of revamp my life and the things I was doing. So I got out of jail, and my dad invited me to church, and I finally said yes, because before that he would then ask me like 30 times, and I was saying, no, I'm good. But this time, after that, I absolutely said yes. I'll go, no problem. Cause
you had those situations that make you call on God, man, and you see the toughest guys when they get in those situations, when they get shot or something tragic happened, we always call on that higher power during that time, in our tragic times in our life. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because I still remember when I had the guns pulled out on me. You know what I'm saying? And point blank range in my face. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you. I feel you. Then being in combat in the Marine Corps and almost getting blown up 3 times, man. You know what I'm saying? You become spiritual real quick.
Right, real quick. And listen, after that, if I didn't pay attention to God before, I sure did then. You know what I'm saying?
Doubt.
And
no doubt,
and so,
brother.
because the proof was in the pudding at that point for me. You know what I mean? The proof was in the pudding, because like the scriptures say, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. You know what I'm saying? Like, he first loved us. You know what I mean? We didn't love God first. He loved us first. No doubt. You know what I mean? And that was a demonstration to me for my life of his love. So I went to the church, you know what I'm saying? And he introduced me to a man at the church, which was his mentor at the time. His name was Dr. E.J. McKenzie, or also known as Apostle E.J. McKenzie, from Panorama Christian Center in Miami Gardens. And so he introduced me to him. It wasn't even really a church service. It was like a group meeting, a men's group that they was having at the church. So I went to the men's group, and guess what the name of the men's group was?
What's that?
The Icemen. The name of the
Put
group
that out.
was the Ice, yes, the Ice Men. Just like I'm Ice Squad, the Ice
Exactly.
Men.
I'm
So
following you, brother.
you following me?
I'm
Okay.
following.
So it's called the Ice Men. And he was teaching based off of 3 core principles to all the men. Those principles were integrity, character, and excellence. Those
Ah,
were that's why it was called the Icemen. So and he had a testimony too, because he was an ex-dope boy from St. Petersburg, Florida, that God turned his life around because
okay.
of a mentor that he came in contact with.
That's
So
beautiful.
he basically was doing the same thing his mentor did for him with other men.
Mm-hmm.
And so I became a part of that group, the Icemen, and learned all types of principles about being a man, just a man in general, and also being a man of God. But if you're a man of God, it's gonna affect every other aspect of your life too as a man. You understand? And
Definitely.
those 3 principles were principles to live by. You know what I mean? And so he taught us those things, man. And he mentored a group of men. Some lasted, some didn't. I happen to be one of the guys who lasted. I
Mm-hmm.
stayed under his mentorship for about almost 8 years.
Soldier in
Eight
the
years.
army of the Lord now.
Yeah, yes, sir. Almost 8 years I was under his mentorship. And those principles that he instilled into me through teaching, through knowledge, through correction, through, getting on me, you know, tough love, soft love, all of it. You know what I mean? I had God use that man to break me down, to show me that I'm nothing without God. You
No
understand?
doubt.
Because
No
sometimes
doubt.
when we live a certain life in the streets and we carry pistols and we do little things that we think make us tough, we become very arrogant even with God. And we think we untouchable. We think we cannot be humbled. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we
No
so
doubt.
we so used to humbling people that we don't know how to be humble. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Oh
But
yeah.
the process that God took me through with this man definitely taught me that principle. And he also taught me powerful principles of about leadership and being a leader, and how a leader with the right mindset will create a strong body of people. You know what I
I
mean?
like.
So
I like.
um as you can see now, even it affected my life in the music industry, because when I decided to finally surrender it all, as they say, and give my life to Christ myself, I was willing to get rid of the music industry completely, because the things I was involved in was definitely not a reflection of a man of God. So I was going to leave it alone completely, but God spoke to me right when I was getting ready to give it all up, and he knew I wholeheartedly was ready to give it up. You know what I'm saying? Just like
Mm.
Abraham, when he was wholeheartedly getting ready to sacrifice Isaac, God knew he was really serious and he was ready. And so right when I was getting ready to sacrifice that what I love to death, which is my music, God said, wait, hold up. No, I'm gonna let you keep that. I'm gonna let you keep that, but I'm gonna show you how to do it. And it won't be like what you see. Because I saw a lot of people that was young guys like myself that was rapping, and they was all doing it like for the church. You know what I'm saying? And it was all stuff that only the church people could relate to and identify with and get excited about. And that wasn't quite me, because I never was really like a churchy type of dude. You know what I mean? I still had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of rough edges that just didn't vibe in that circle.
Oh no
So
doubt.
it was a lot of things that I just looked like the oddball in, because I still had a lot of my old swag, you know. But God told me specifically that He did not want me to do it that way,
Mm-hmm.
and He showed me what He wanted me to do. First thing
Mm-hmm.
He told me is to keep my name. Do not change my name, because a lot of cats, once they get saved and they find God, they change everything. They change their rap name, they change their whole genre. Now they want to be considered gospel, and they just start changing all of these things. But God told
Mm-hmm.
me, don't change nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He said He was going to change me. He
Mm-hmm.
was going to change my heart. and and
I
and
like
as
it.
a as a result
I
of
love it.
changing me as a result of changing me, it would change my music, and that was
Wow.
enough. So
Wow.
I've never went the gospel route. I've never been a gospel artist. I've never even considered myself. I've never been charted as a gospel artist. I've stayed the same. I'm a hip hop artist since I was from the
That's
beginning.
right.
You know
Bringing
what
the
I
good
mean?
news. Still bringing that good
That's it.
news. You know.
Exactly, because the
Still
thing
bringing
about it,
that
as an
good.
art, as an artist, just because your life changes doesn't mean your genre should change. The only thing needs to change is your content. You know, your music should be a reflection of your current life,
That's right.
or if you're reflecting on your past life, but it should be a reflection of who you are. And
That's right.
so my message changed, but I didn't have to go through all of the religious hoops and hurdles and all of those titles and stuff. I just kept it a buck, you know what I mean, and just kept doing what I was doing. But God obviously changed on what I was talking about.
You know
You
what? I like
understand?
what you said because Lecrae got judged a lot. Lecrae got
Hmm.
judged a lot about what you
Yeah.
just said. You know, they
Right.
crucified him because exactly of what you just said. And I'm so glad that you didn't allow man to dictate to you how you should be living your life. You listen to the creator, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
allow the creator to lead you and to guide you. And I'm telling you, and I believe this, and I'm telling you on from my end, that I believe that your music will reach more people being like that. You know what I'm saying?
You
Because it's
you got it.
positive and love is God. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
God is
you.
love. You know, so
Exactly.
I love the fact that you didn't allow religiosity
Religiosity. Exactly.
to control your life. You know what I'm saying?
And later on, I saw the wisdom in it. I saw the strategy in it. Why God chose me to do that, because it's exactly what you said. Is being using the strategy that God has given me has allowed me to go indoors that I would never be able to walk into, carrying all types of religious titles. I would never be able to, you know. And my music, God gives me the wisdom on how to make my music in a way to where anybody can identify. You know, a lot of times, I like gospel music because I can identify with it. But the thing about that is that everybody can't. Some people are not on a spiritual journey in that direction. Some people don't even are not even ready for that. Some people are
Right.
not even in that zone right now.
Yeah, the
So what
cross
do you do for
movement
the
got judged. The cross
right?
movement got judged too, man, when they came out and they did what they was doing. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Now, the difference with Lecrae, me and Lecrae, is that Lecrae backpedaled. That's why he got hit so hard with the ostracism, because he started off one way and changed it to something else. So people already knew him for gospel, and then he went back. And anybody who been in the church long enough, if you ever do that, man, they finna hang you. They finna put you on the cross. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because they gonna consider it, what they call blasphemy or heresy, or backsliding. But see, the thing, I'm so happy that that didn't happen to me. So I don't face those type of criticisms because I never was gospel to begin with. I never started that way. So I've been the same person ever since the beginning. So nobody can ever throw that at me. The
Mm-hmm.
only the only ostracism that I get sometimes from the body and from other members in the, other believers, is the fact that me and my organization, we don't do a lot of church events. We're not doing, because we are just hip hop. That's where we are. We are where the people are. We
There
have a
you
saying
go.
that says,
There
at
you
Ice Squad,
go.
we have a saying that says, wherever the people are, that's where the squad will
Isn't
be.
isn't that isn't that what Yeshua did? You know, let's talk
Yep.
about that because so many
Let's
people
go.
read those scriptures
Mm-hmm.
and they don't pay attention to the fact that Yeshua spent more time with the people than he did in
With
the
the
temple.
people.
Know
Exactly.
ye not that you are the temple of the Holy Spirit? You know, you're the temple. That facility, you know what I'm saying, doesn't need to be saved.
Yep.
That facility doesn't have a soul. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the people that need to be touched. The people are the ministry. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And without the people, I just like to say this: without the people, the vision perish.
Yep.
You
Absolutely.
have no mission without people. You can be a writer, and if you don't have a reader, your ministry is dead. You could be a
Yep.
singer without a listener, your ministry is dead. You could be a musician without a listener, and your ministry is dead. People are the
Absolutely.
ministry. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. People, I like to say, people is God's biggest commodity. God cares about people. He doesn't care about denominations. He cares about people. You understand? And if when you read the scriptures, you'll notice that there was only like 2 accounts where Jesus was actually in the temple. The majority of his ministry was all about him interacting with the community. And so the fact that, you know, some people feel like everything has to be done in the church in order for it to be of God is ridiculous. And even for people to think that all music has to be gospel in order for it to be of God is also ridiculous, because God cares more about principles than he does legalism. You know what I'm saying? He's looking for fruit. He's looking for the fruit of the spirit. You know what I mean? Life and death is in the power. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, not in the genre that you choose to place yourself under.
Somebody
So
got it.
yeah.
Somebody
So
got
right.
it.
So we go wherever the people are. So you will, yes, you will see Ice Squad in the club. You will see Ice Squad opening up for anybody. We'll open up for, like you said, like you saw in the bio. We'll open up for Trick, Ross, Jeezy, Drake, anybody. Because why? We know why we're there. We know what message we carry. So whoever else is there is irrelevant. They can go and they can release all the negativity that they want. Because when Ice Squad hit the stage, we're going to come and we're going to cancel all of that. And we're going to counteract all of that with the positive message. You understand? But how can we get the message to the people if we're not where the people are?
There you
So,
go.
you know what I mean? Exactly. But and we're not afraid.
Then he say, man, then he say that I come not for those who are well.
Who are well, right? I'm here for the sick.
Are in need of a physician.
Of a physician, exactly.
See, that's what I'm saying. People preach that, but they really don't comprehend what they're talking about. They really don't.
Right.
They really don't. He said, I come to seek and save those who are lost. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know, and he's already said, you know, that the temple is for you to go there to be taught and to learn and to strengthen your walk with the Creator.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's those who are outside the temple that need the salvation. And I appreciate what you're doing, man, because I know it was because of men like you that helped save my life, man. And I'm serious. You know what I'm saying? I was a thug in the street. I was rejected by my parents. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother took me in. So I know what it is to be rejected. I know what it is to be broken and grow up in a broken environment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was because of men and women who are upright that love the hell out of me. If you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Love the hellish life I was living.
Out of you.
You know what I'm saying? It was because of people like you who came out there and threw me the life preserver and helped save my life, man.
Absolutely. And that's why, to me, that's the most important mission. You know what I'm saying? Even the Great Commission itself, the instructions that we were given were to go out into the highways and the byways to all nations. You know what I mean? To go where they are. You know what I mean? And, you know, I realized from just being on both sides of the fence that it's really just a matter of indoctrination. That's the reason why a lot of artists feel that that's their only option is to be a gospel artist. You know, now if you're called to that, then you should do exactly what you're called to. But everybody's not called to that. Some people are just trying to get in where they fit in because they don't want to be talked about in the church. They don't want to be looked at as a backslider. They don't want to be ridiculed. And especially by the elders, because, you know, the elders don't really understand hip hop that much. So if they see you out in the club, they see you out, you know, around, you know, the what they consider secular people and secular acts, in their mind, it's going to be like you're sinning against God. So what a lot of believers do who are musicians, in order to avoid all of that ostracism, they just go with the flow, man. They say, well, now I'm gospel. You know, so because if you tell grandma that you rapping, but it's gospel, she ain't gonna give you a hard time. You tell mama it's gospel, she ain't gonna give you a hard time. You tell the pastor it's gospel, they ain't gonna give you a hard time. You understand? But if you don't put that tag on it, that title on it, now you faced with a criticism and ostracism. And I believe a lot of brothers and sisters try to just avoid that out of fear, knowing good and well that they will be much more impactful where the people are. You know what I mean? And so it's just a matter of who you're going to listen to. Are you going to fear man, or are you going to fear God? Because think about it like this, Amar. If you do something that's righteous, but it's not what God told you to do, you still in sin. You're still in
Indeed.
sin. If you're not following God's instructions specifically, you are still in sin. So did God say go gospel? Or do you just think that automatically you have to do that by default because now you saved and you're an artist? You understand? So
Oh yeah.
I don't do the titles, man. I don't do, and I even minister. I go out and I minister in the prison system. We even do live concerts in the prison. But I don't use no title. I don't go in there as a pastor or none of that. I just go in there as a man. I go in there as a
You should
man
never did.
whose life was transformed by the Lord Jesus Christ. That's who I go in there as, and I just be me, man. And because when you remove the titles, man, people can relate to you more because they see you as just a human being, just like them. You know what I mean? Sometimes those titles put us on pedestals
That's
that
it.
we don't even deserve to be on, or that we don't need to be on, because it automatically puts us in the judgment seat. You know what I mean? Either to be judged or to judge people. So like
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that, brother. And as you can see from our music, man, our music is designed at Ice Squad Entertainment to touch the masses, man. The you know, from the saint to the sinner, the believer, the unbeliever, the churchgoer, the non-churchgoer. It's for everybody because it's all about those three principles:
I
integrity,
love that.
character, and excellence, which are biblical principles.
There you go. So, I like that, man. So with that being said, if you would, we got to close here. If you would tell people how they can get in contact with you, and also tell them your social media outlets, if you'd be so kind.
Absolutely. So if you want to get in contact with me, you can always go to our website. That's the hub for everything that we're doing at Ice Squad Entertainment. The website is icesquadent.com. So you can go there and it'll link you to everything. If for social media, you can follow me at Lamont Popp Nanton. That's two P's, P-O-double-P. If it ain't two P's, it ain't me. So Lamont Popp Nanton. And also my artist name, Popp Da Rippa. You can follow me there. Also follow my group. I'm part of a super hip hop trio, Ice Squad, one word, with my brothers Blaze the Lion and Ramel the Youngster. You can follow us at Ice Squad Rap, and you can follow the label at Ice Squad ENT1. Also, very important, I want to make sure you guys understand too that you can also follow the Circle of Brotherhood to find out what's going on in the community with all of the community activism that we're doing, because this is just the beginning. Hunger 9 was just the beginning of something major. So follow the Circle of Brotherhood at the Circle of Brotherhood on all your social media sites. Shout out to the Hunger 9. Shout out to my brother Anthony Blackman. Also another brother, King Your Highness. We did a record for the Hunger 9 hunger strike called Peacemakers. You can find that now on YouTube and all your music platforms. And the music video is out as well. A powerful video about what's going on in our community with the gun violence. And yeah, man, Ice Squad, we just dropped 2 singles, Blackout and I Win, which are out now on all your platforms. Music video is dropping this Friday. Make sure you check it out and find out where we're going to be in your city next by going to our website, icesquadent.com. There you go.
Definitely. So again, family, thank you so much for tuning in. Get them yours truly, Ahmad Mari. I am the founder of El Kebalan Unity Alliance, where we focus on your spiritual, your physical, your financial well-being, additionally, the knowledge of self. So instead of debating, instead of hating, let love germinate. Instead of debate and hate, peace, love, and power. Let us come together as one and help to save the lives of our people.
Amen.